What is the verse for today?
5.25.
5.25. And what's the date today?
8.25.
All right. So we are good. We are in alignment.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will get started. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining the call here on Facebook, YouTube, as well as on Zoom. And we will get started after these short prayers to the spiritual master. Om Ajnanatimandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. All right, so let us get started. I have a hard stop today at 7. So we will go straight into the verse for today, 5.25. It's a very musical verse, I can tell you that. And let's start sharing the screen there. We are here. Labhante brahma-nirvāṇam ṛṣayaḥ kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ chinna-dvaidhā yatātmānaḥ sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. Labhante brahma-nirvāṇam ṛṣayaḥ kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ chinna-dvaidhā yatātmānaḥ sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. Labhante brahma-nirvāṇam ṛṣayaḥ kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ chinna-dvaidhā yatātmānaḥ sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. So without going further into this words, let us see how many words. Let me ask you this question. How many words do you recognize and you know the meaning of from this verse? Labhante, or you can pick line 1, line 2, just from your memory. And even one word is fine. Any word sound familiar to you here?
Brahma-nirvāṇam.
Okay.
Nirvana means, I know what nirvana means.
Okay, and what is nirvana?
Liberation.
Liberation. Okay, good. Any other words that sound familiar to you?
Yes, sarva-bhūta also.
Sarva-bhūta also, you know. Okay, and what does sarva-bhūta mean?
Sarva is all, bhuta is entity, so all living entities.
All living entities, very good. And would you like to tell me what is hite? Hit from Hindi?
Any other? Are you asking any other?
No, I'm saying this one.
Oh, hite.
Okay, but that's good. We found at least some percentage, right? Labhante means achieve, right? And now we know from where labh is coming. Shubh labh. Shubh labh means what are you achieving in Shubh labh mostly? When we say Shubh labh, what are you trying to achieve?
Money, Lakshmi.
Lakshmi, right? So labhante is to achieve. Brahma-nirvāṇam, liberation in the Supreme. Ṛṣayaḥ, those who are active within. Those are ṛṣayaḥ. And then kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. I like the sound of the word. kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. Say kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. Unmute yourself and say kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ.
Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ.
Yes, Priti.
Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ.
Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. Kalmash, right? Sounds like a very nice thing, kalmash. Kalmash actually means sinful.
And Shina is without. So is that
Shina is when it is zero, Shina, right?
Oh, zero.
There, right, Shina, right? So when it is zero, it is like devoid of all sins, right? Yeah. Chinna, having torn off. Dvaidhāḥ, duality. What are some of the dualities that we face in life here?
Mataji, heat and cold, distress and happiness.
Correct.
Mm. Good and bad.
Correct. Morning, night,
Yeah.
black, white, love, hate,
Right.
black, white.
Mm.
All these are dualities. Cold, sweet, sour. Yata-ātmānaḥ, engaged in self-realization. Sarva-bhūta, for all living entities. Hite, in welfare work. Ratāḥ, engaged. So
I did not know hite is well in welfare.
hit, like we say na, hit ka kaam karte hain. Uske hit mein nahi hai. This is not,
Oh.
hamare hit mein nahi hai. It's not for your own good, right? When you say hit,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
hite, ratāḥ means to be engaged, right?
Mm.
Okay. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins. What's the Sanskrit for free from all sins?
This kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ.
Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ, right? Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. So also free from all sins. Usually Krishna in Bhagavad-gita addresses Arjuna as a person who is not sinful, right? Sinless one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sinless one, yeah.
Right? Anagha, right?
Anagha.
Yeah, so that doesn't have any sins in him. What a nice situation and what a nice consciousness that would be, right?
Mm.
To not be having any sinful. So those are free from all sins, they achieve liberation in the Supreme. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Only a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in welfare work for all living entities. When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Therefore, to act to revive his consciousness within the entire human society is the highest welfare work. One cannot be engaged in such first-class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme. A Krishna-conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna. He has no doubt because he's completely free from all sins. This is the state of divine love. A person engaged only in ministering to the physical welfare of human society cannot factually help anyone. Temporary relief of the external body and the mind is not satisfactory. The real cause of one's difficulties is the hard struggle for life may be found in one's forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Law. So what is the real cause of our difficulties?
We've forgotten our relationship with the Lord.
With the Lord, right?
forgetting.
We forgot our relationship with the Lord. When a man is fully conscious of his relationship with Krishna, he's actually a liberated soul, although he may be in the material tabernacle. Tabernacle is the word that Guru Maharaj is very, he likes that word tabernacle, right? So tabernacle is actually a temple that moves, right? Like how gypsies move from one place to another place. It's a structure that can move from one place to another place. So material tabernacle, here he's talking about our body as a material tabernacle. And so now when you are a liberated person, you have realized the God within yourself, right? So if you have realized the God within your body here, then your body has become a temple, right? I mean, even if you don't realize it, the body is still the temple because the super soul is there, right? So our bodies are temples, they are tabernacle. And because our bodies move, right? So it's a moving temple. So that's why it's a tabernacle here. So thoughts, anything that caught your attention?
You know, Shraddha Mataji, when it says here that that when you are engaged only in ministering physical help to someone who needs it, it's not helping anyone, but I know it is saying that it is temporary, but in a way we are helping someone to get over their physical pain, right? The physical, because without being physically fit, how can we also keep our mind fixed in Krishna consciousness?
Is it? Is it really true that when we are not physically fit, we really forget Krishna?
No, we don't forget, but our mind is also on our physical ailments, right? More.
At a lower level, right? Last time I was talking
Mm.
about His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, right?
Hmm.
You operate on him, you do anything. He sits on his bed and he will have
Yeah,
no.
but he's very elevated.
He's
So,
elevated. Yeah.
yeah.
These verses are talking about elevated people, and this is all about goal setting, you know. These are the goals that we have actually. These are our goals. We might find them intimidating at some point. Like at one point in time, Sukarma Radhe Mataji, chanting 16 rounds every day was an unachievable goal. Right? It seemed like, how could you do that?
Yeah.
Right? How can
That's
you
why it takes so long to get shelter.
no,
Because you can't.
So how can you do it in your 24 hours did not expand, but something adjusted. Something adjusted, and then you realize that I can still do it. So these are achievable goals. We have to be just sincere about it, set and determination. So this is a very strong word that Prabhupada is opening with a very strong statement that only a person who's fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in welfare work for all the living entities. Right? And then, of course, you said that if you are working just doing physical help to other people, then you're not really helping. And Prabhupada says in so many times that if a man is drowning, then if you have compassion for his dress, like a man is suited and booted and he falls off a ship into the ocean, will you try to save his watch and save his clothes, or what will you try to save? What is inside the clothes, right? Right? And interestingly, let me see if I can bring that verse. We did this verse, last Sunday. You don't attend that class, but it's a very nice verse, but I'll still bring it up. 2nd chapter of Bhagavad-gita. It's a very nice number to remember. You see it? 2.2.2. Vasamsi jinani yatha vihaya navani grinati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanya anyani samyati navani dehi. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. So Krishna is just equating the body to be, it's like a cloth. Let's say you give away the clothes, then similarly the body is there. So the focus should not be on how much can I do for the body, but yes, do we need the body? Yes, we need the body, right? But to think that if I am in pain, let's look back, like, at least I can look back 20 years ago or 30 years ago when I was not in Krishna consciousness. If I was sick, if the temperature was high, if I was tired, that meant that I should go to sleep and catch, right? Beauty sleep and nourishing and all that, right? So we do that. But now, after coming in contact with ISKCON and Krishna consciousness, you may be tired, we go to the temple, now all tiredness is gone, right? You work for 4 hours, nothing happens, right? So it's not that ailment was not there. It's not that the legs were not hurting, right? They are hurting. But we learned the toleration comes. And what has happened is that we have found a higher goal in life. And because of the higher goal and a higher taste, it becomes easy for us to, just tolerate those things also, right? And the reason that he's saying, and you had also pointed out, was that, if we help people physically, then it is short-lived, it's transient, right? Now, having said that, we have so whenever we are doing some welfare activities for others, for example, when people lose their job, right? They lose the job for some time, the company pays money, and then for some time, the government pays them the money, right? So this is welfare activity, right? So when you're doing this kind of welfare activity, then if he's using, so that you have lost the job, so the source of income is completely gone, but the bills are not going to stop coming, right? So the bills are not going to stop coming. How are you going to pay? And then if I have bills to pay, I also need to apply for another job. What will I do? So here the state has come in and giving you some money, right? Now, if you are utilizing that money, to take care of my expenses, and it's not too much of money, so you have to cut down. So you to take care of your expenses while simultaneously you are endeavoring to find the next job. Okay, then that welfare activity has helped you in that activity, right? However, that's one way, right? Second is that you give a welfare activity, and then that removes the desire. It's so much that it removes the desire to even look for a job. Why do you have to look for a job, right? Remember when there was COVID, there was money that was being sent to people's home, and people just refused to go to work because they said we are getting more, more just by this, right?
Yeah.
Is it true? In the end, so we always have to see the long-term benefit, long-term shreyas, long-term benefit of that as compared to prayers, which is the short-term goal. Okay. Now, if we expand on the time scale and we say that, yeah, long-term, this thing took care of everything in their life. I paid money to educate a person, very poor person, and I'm not talking about me, paid to get them into engineering college and all that. Now they got a nice job, and they earn so much more money every year, and so they're guaranteed. Did you do welfare? Really true welfare? No, because at the end of so what did not happen when they got the job? Did they get rid of diseases just because they have a good job, right? Birth, death, old age, disease. So these are the 4 problems of life. You have not solved the 4 problems. What are we talking about? Welfare activity has happened there. Right? So that is the real welfare. And that is why in the Srimad Bhagavatam we hear that when Ved-Vyas sat down and wrote, Ved-Vyas was very compassionate, right? So he was very compassionate with the soul, and he says, these Kali Yuga is coming, and these souls are they're going to be leading such a wretched life. So these souls have come here, and Kali Yuga is the worst of the yugas materially, right? And so let me at least tell them a way that, to reduce the sufferings in life. And so he wrote the Vedas. So Vedas are like, okay, fine, you got leprosy. All right, here's the yagya you do, your leprosy will go away. You got skin diseases, you don't look beautiful. Okay, here's something to do, you can look beautiful. You want money, you want to set fact, everything is there, right? There in the Vedas. And after writing all that, he did not feel job satisfaction. After writing Mahabharata, documenting.
Yeah, I know that. But why do you think he wasn't satisfied?
Because Vyasadeva is Vyasadeva. He's the Sakti-Avesh avatar of Krishna. Because a soul will really be satisfied when he's doing the sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. When he's doing the real good to the people, that is the only thing that will give you satisfaction, right? For example, if you give a sari to a poor relative or to a maidservant, right? You're happy. What if you teach a shloka of Bhagavad-gita to the maidservant? Or help her give up alcohol or whatever, right? Meat eating, whatever. When will you feel more happy? So the real happiness, later, right? So the real happiness is going to come only when you align yourself. Only when you align yourself with the Krishna's plan, the Krishna's rules, the Krishna's regulation, then you will get the real happiness. Otherwise, and you're also doing the real welfare to the other, right? Because sometimes people just, you stop at the red sign or the stop sign, and there'll be a person over there, nicely dressed, and saying, hey, I'm looking for money. And you just roll down the window, give $20. Very happy. We did welfare activity. Some person was there saying that they are in need of money, and I gave them the money, and I'm very happy. Now you don't know what that person did with that $20, went and purchased a bottle of alcohol. Did you really do good for them? Maybe they were drug addicts. Did you really do good for them? No. Right? So the real good that we do to people is to bring them to Krishna consciousness. And that is what then, when, you know the story, right? Of Ved-Vyas, he writes the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Amal Purana, right? So there is Amal, no Mal. Here also Kalmash. So, they sound familiar. So sin is also dirty, right? The rhyming words. So he did that, he writes that. And that is why one of the things that people say a lot about ISKCON is that you don't do a lot of welfare activities. You do prasadam. What about a hospital? What about this? At a mass scale. I mean, it's not that we don't have hospitals. We do those activities. At a mass scale, we don't do that, right? And what are you doing? You're constantly reading. Okay? So but the important thing to note in that case is that when we have got responsibilities in life, right? If there are a lot of responsibilities on our shoulders, we have to become more responsible, right? If I have got a lot of responsibilities on my head, right? What that means is that if I'm a man and I have 6 children to take care of, that's a lot of responsibilities, right? Then can I on payday take all my pay and go to the casino? No, right? You have to be responsible to do that, right? So that is why when our aim is to do sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ, to do the real welfare activity for others, right? We have to first raise ourselves to a higher platform of Krishna consciousness. And that we will do by doing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Adhyan. We have to read. We have to invest in that time. And then, once we touch that, it's interesting, Nana Shastra Vicharine Kanipurna. Right? We're talking about Shraddha Goswami Ashtakam. Let me bring that up. It's a very nice way, and it defines what the Shraddha Goswamis. Who are the Shraddha Goswamis?
Mataji, the 6 Goswami, Raghunandan, Das, Raghunandan Bhatt Goswami, Gopal Bhatt, Sanatan Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, and Rupa Goswami.
Rupa Goswami, yeah, we start with Rupa Goswami because
we start with hero.
We are Rupanugas, right? Yeah. So let's bring this up here. In the second verse of the Shraddha Goswami Ashtakam, we see this. Oh, wrong thing. Wrong windows. To get rid of this. There again. Okay, this seems like the right window. Okay, so not this window, not my day again. Stop the share. What happened? What happened to my Nana Shastra Vicharine? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, here we go. Right? So it's saying Nana Shastra Vicharine. Number 2. Vicharine Kanipurna Sadharma Samsthapako Lokanam Hitkarine Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Nande Namattaliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalako. So if you remember this line, Vande Rupa, we are getting a 6 Goswami there. Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga. Raghuyuga means 2, both the Raghus. Raghunath Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, right? And Sri Jiva and Gopal Goswami, right? So what does it say in the translation? I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. Right? They were honored all over the 3 worlds, and they were worth taking shelter of because they were absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Right? So again, this verse is saying that to be doing the service and benefit for the benefit, something doing things which are beneficial to all the human beings, you have to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Right? That is important. Another thing I wanted to point out here is that, we have Vande Rupa Sanatanam. So when we are just translating that in English, first verse, okay, I offer my respectful obeisances into 6 Goswamis, like Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy names of Krishna and dancing. Verse number 2, I offer my, it's the same thing. Okay.
Same thing.
Who are
Yeah.
very expert in scrutinizing, studying what this is not how we read it. When we come to verse number 2, we repeat it again. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami. Because if we take the exalted names of these exalted people, their names are dancing on our tongue. It's for our benefit only, right? For us to recite. So it's very important to give the respect where it is due, and not to make shortcuts, because shortcuts always take long time in the long run. Shortcuts take longer in the long run, right? More time in the long run. That's what I mean, right? And so to be able to reach that stage, the first verse is saying they were just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and the ruffians, because they're not envious of anyone. And why are they not envious of anyone, right? So here in the verse that we are saying, only a person who is fully in the Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada is talking about, right? And then here, right, yeah, here, this, we know that we are, because of the sufferings are because of our forgetfulness, right? Therefore, to act, to revive this consciousness within the entire human society is the highest welfare work. One cannot be engaged in such first-class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna, right? And why does he not have any doubt? Because he's completely freed of all the sins. It's very important to be freed of the sins. If the sins are not freed, then we will constantly, while reading the scripture, we'll constantly have the doubts. If we compare that, right? And doubts are also coming from duality, right? This or that. So when we look at when we read the Krishna's pastimes, right? The Vrindavan Vasis, his friends, not even the friends, even the elderly people, right? What does it mean that, it's raining so hard and you consult a 5-year-old boy? What are you going to do? You don't do that, right? So something to be gleaned from that pastimes also is that how much faith the Vrindavan Vasis had, the Vrajavasis had on Krishna, that yes, he is the real Supreme Personality Godhead, and Mame Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, we are just parts and parcel of Krishna. So once you have understood this, that we are parts and parcel of Krishna, why would we be envious? Right? Why would we be envious? We are all parts and parcel of Krishna. If somebody got something extra, that doesn't matter, that's fine. We all connected to the same source, like that, right? So then they are saying that now you have to be complete. This is a state, right? And a person engaged only in ministering to the physical welfare of human society cannot factually help anyone. Right? And so also remember that I can be engaged only in ministering to the physical welfare of human society. I could be a billionaire, right? With a very rich business and earning billions of dollars every year, so that even if I'm giving away money to others, it's not impacting my pockets and it's not impacting my lifestyle. So I can continue to live my life lavish, bogus, and maybe a bad lifestyle. But I can also do physical welfare. I can write checks, right, as donation, right? So that's not the right thing. Even for ourselves, it is not right, right? And of course, you just gave money to others. That's not also going to help. Money doesn't solve problems, right? Does it? Money can get you a nice bed, but can money buy you sleep? Right? Money can buy you things, but can it buy you happiness? Can it buy you love? No, right? So peace, never. Right? So we have to then focus on going into connection with the Lord, right? And let's see if I'm remembering the verse correctly, but this was one of the verses that we did. Not this one. It was pretty close to where we were. Okay, let's bring up. When I bring this up, you'll all remember. So what was the verse that we memorized from here?
Number 7.
Yes, okay.
Right?
But this one is,
Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma.
yeah, Yoga Yukta Vishuddha-atma.
Atma
Vijanta-hite.
Vijaya Sarva-bhūta-atma Bhutatma Kurvam api na lipyate.
Right, Kurvanapi. Even while he's doing the work, he does not get engaged, right? Okay. Yeah, 17. I was one off. Okay. Tad buddhyastat atmanas tannishthas tatparayanaha gacchantya punar avritam jnana nirdhuta kalmaṣāḥ. So in this verse, what is he saying? Yeah, kalmaṣāḥ is coming again here. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So what has happened here is that he has acquired the knowledge about Krishna. And once you acquire the knowledge of Krishna, then you have invested everything. What have you invested in Krishna? Intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge. All are fixed on Krishna. Completely you're doing just that all the time. So and then you will, proceed straight on the path of liberation. And once you are that, right? For example, I was saying that if you are a responsible person, if you have responsibilities, then you have to live a responsible life, right? For example, a doctor, right? A surgeon, actually. If a surgeon has got surgery, or a pilot, if they have a surgery tomorrow to perform, and he gets drunk and goes to a wine alcohol party the night before, next day, what is going to happen to his fingers as he's cutting, right? So he has got responsibilities. He has to be at a higher consciousness to be able to do what he wants to do. So similarly for us also, we have to be at a higher consciousness. We have to get into Krishna consciousness. We have to listen, and the dharma for this yoga is, you chant Hare Krishna and you hear, chant and hear, names of Krishna, pastimes of Krishna, katha of Krishna, right? And then we have read in the Adhik Mars, we have read the 1.2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, where they are saying that it was saying that you should, do devotional service of the Lord, and you should listen to Kona Kuriyat Katha Ruchi. So who will not have the taste to listen to Krishna Katha? But that is true. Sometimes we don't, and most of us don't, right? So how do we get into that? How do we get that taste? And the path there was given there, right? So it said that Stushusho Shraddha-dhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Syan Mhat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirthana Shevana. So he said what you should do is that you should engage in the service of Mahatmas. When you engage in the service of Mahatmas, then you will develop a desire to hear Krishna consciousness. A classic example is Narad Muni as a small boy. He was taking care of the devotees. His mother was a maid servant, and there were devotees who had gathered together, sadhus who had gathered together during the Chaturmasya, right? And they were doing deep philosophical discussions. And he was there, he was serving them. They used to eat food, he used to take the plate away and things like that, right? So he was serving them. And that's how he got into Krishna consciousness ultimately. Okay? So when you listen to Krishna Katha, so then when you listen to Krishna Katha, what happens? Then, Shunvatam Swakatha Krishna, Punya Shravan Kirtanaha, Hridyantasto hiya bhadrani vidhunoti suhitsatam. So when you listen to Krishna Katha, Hindaya Antasto, inside the Hridaya, inside your heart, whatever is the dirt that is accumulated inside the heart, that gets washed away, right? So whatever is the mal, whatever is the material desires that we have, our material desires will lead to dualities in life. So those also go away from our lives. Okay? So, and then after that, tasmad ekena manasa, then with a single pointed mind, because where is there the duality? Where is the fear? Fear comes from duality, right? The focus is you are liberated in the Supreme, because everything that you're doing is for Supreme, right? Like, for example, my parents were liberated into an independent India. That is not liberation into the Supreme, because you still have your problems, right? But liberation into Supreme basically just means that you are a Krishna conscious person. You are completely into it, and you just, want to listen to Krishna Katha. So the gopis also glorify Krishna Katha in the Gopi Geet, right? Anybody remember what verse is that where the gopis glorify Krishna Katha?
No, I don't remember.
I will give you a hint. Tava katha. Tumhari katha. Your katha. When
Is
I tell
it
you the
10th canto?
10th canto, Gopi Geet, yes, 10th canto,
Yeah.
31st chapter is Gopi Geet. Okay. And when I tell you the line, you will say, oh yeah, I know it.
No, I may know it. But Tava Kathamritam.
Yes, exactly right.
Yes.
Yes. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam
Vanam
kavibiridi
Kavibiriditam
kalmasham
Kalmashavam
shravanamangalam
Shramangalam
Srimadatam
Srimadatatam
Viginanti ye purida
Puridajanam
Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam
Jivanam
kavibiridi
Kavibiriditam
kalmasham
Kalpashakam Shravanamangalam
Shravanamangalam Srimadatam
Srimadatatam
Viginanti ye purida
Puridajanam
kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibiritam
Kavibiriditam
kalpashapaham
Kalpashakam
Shravanamangalam
Shramanagalam
Srimadatam
Srimadatam
Viginanti ye purida
Dajana
Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibiritam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam
Srimadatatam
Vigananti ye purida jana. So this was the gopis, right? The gopis' song of separation from Krishna. They are singing it how many years ago?
5,000.
5,000 years ago, correct, for 500 points, right? So we see a repeat of that 500 years ago in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I will read a little bit from that so that we can enjoy the more modern day version of the Kathamritam, or the pastime enactment of that pastime. So the ecstatic dancing of the Lord at the Rath Yatra. And it's very timely because we just completed the Yata-ātmānaḥ.
Yeah.
A summary of this chapter is given by Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Amrit Prabha Bhashya. So he has given, his commentary on Srimad Bhagavad, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Bhakti Vinod Thakur is in the book called Amrit Prabha Bhashya. And so he has given the summary of this chapter, and he says, after bathing early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deities, Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra, get aboard their 3 carts. This function is called Pandu Vijaya. At that time, King Pratap Rudra. So now King Pratap Rudra was the king, right, of Orissa, and he badly wanted darshan. He was a devotee. He badly wanted to do darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi, and he was setting examples for the world to follow. So he said, I don't want to associate with people who have an enjoyment mentality, because he's a king, right? He will be enjoying things there. He refused to grant audience to him. Although Sadhguru Bhattacharya tried to convince him and say that, he and other devotees around him tried to convince him. He said, no, I'm not going to meet him, like that, right? So that's the King Pratap Rudra. So at that time, King Pratap Rudra took a broom with a golden handle and began to cleanse the road. Lord Jagannath took permission from the goddess of fortune and then started in the car. This is coming in front of me. I can't see what is written. Yeah. Lord Jagannath took permission from the goddess of fortune and then started in the car for Gundicha temple. The road to the temple led along a broad sandy beach, and on both sides of the road were residential quarters, houses, and gardens. Along that road, the servant called Godas began to pull the cars. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided his Sankirtan party into 7 divisions. And this is very important, that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to say that you have to do things in a very organized manner. If 100 people are coming, they should not all start singing Kirtan. You have to be in unison, you have to be organized. So see what he's doing. He has divided his Sankirtan party into 7 divisions with 2 mridangas in each division. That is also set. Each division will have 2 mridangams and not more than 2 mridangas. There were altogether 14 mridangas. While performing Kirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited various symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, and Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged their feelings very blissfully. When the cars reached the place known as Balagandi, the devotees offered the deities simple food. At this time, in a nearby garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees took a brief rest from the dancing. Okay, so imagine what has happened. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cart is moving. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has seen Baldev Jagannath and is ecstatic, and he and his team of 7 small sub-teams of Kirtaniers, they have been singing, right? 2 Madangas in each of the teams there. Okay, so let's go. And Chaitanya Charitamrita chapters are really, really long. And so let's go to the next chapter. I want to bring that up, right? So now comes the performance of the Vrindavan pastime. One of the pastimes that we just heard was Tava Kathamritam Tatta Jivanam. Right? So, so we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the previous chapter, we saw that he went to rest in the garden, right? Now let's look at text number 4. E Mata Prabhu Achena Premere Aveshe Hena Kale Pratapruddha Karila Praveshe. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting in ecstatic love, Maharaj Prataprudra entered the garden. Sarva-bhūta upadeshe chhadi raja vesha ekala vaishnava veshe karila pravesha. Following Sarva-bhūta Bhattacharya's instructions, the king had given up his royal dress. He now entered the garden in the dress of a Vaishnava. Sometimes members of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, especially in the Western countries, find it difficult to approach people to distribute books because people are unfamiliar with the traditional saffron robes of the devotees. The devotees have therefore inquired whether they can wear European and American dress before the general public. From the instructions given to King Prataprudra by Sarva-bhūta Bhattacharya, we can understand that we may change our dress in any way to facilitate our service. When our members change their dress to meet the public or to introduce our books, they are not breaking the devotional principles. The real principle is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. And if one has to change into a regular Western dress for this purpose, there should be no objection. So again, also see what he's saying. The real principle is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, because that is really sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. Right? So when we spread Sabha bhaktera agya nila yoda hata hoina Prabhu pada dhari pade sahasa kariya. Maharaj Prataprudra was so humble that with folded hands, he first took permission from all the devotees. Then with great courage, he fell down and touched the lotus feet of the Lord. Anki mude Prabhu preme bhume te shayana nripati ne punya kare pada samvahana. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay on the raised platform with his eyes closed in ecstatic love and emotion, because he's still thinking about Jagannath, the king very expertly began to massage his legs. So took that opportunity for seva, pada seva. Rasa lila rashoka padikare nastavana jayati te dekam jayati te dekam adhyaya kare na pathana. The king began to recite verses about the Rasa Lila from Srimad Bhagavatam. He recited the chapter beginning with the verse Jayati te dekam janmana vraja shtayata indira shashvadatrahi. Right? These verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, constitute what is known as the Gopi Gita. So now he's starting. Shunite prabhura santosha apara bala bala bali prabhu bale bara para. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these verses, he was pleased beyond limits, and he said again and again, go on reciting, because he's got pleasure there, right? Krishna Katha. Tava Katha Amritam Shloka Raja Ye Padila Uthi Prema Veshe Prabhu Alengana Kaila. So as soon as the king recited the verse beginning with the verse Tava Katha Amritam, which we just did, the Lord arose in ecstatic love and embraced him. So that's the effect that verse should have on us also. Tumi mere dile bahu amulya ratana mora kichu dete nahi dilu alengana. This is upon hearing the verse recited by the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have given me invaluable gems, but I have nothing to give you in return. Therefore, I'm simply embracing you. Eta bali se shloka pade bara bara. Dvijanara ange kampa netre jala dhara. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the same verse again and again. Tavu katha amritam tapta jivanam
Vanam
kavibidiritam
Iriditam
kalmashapaham
Ramana
shravanamangal
Mangalam Srimadatam
Srimadattatam bhuvi grinanti
Vindiye
Vidājanam. So after saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the same verse again and again. Both the king and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were trembling and tears were flowing from their eyes. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibiritam kalmashapaham shravanamangalam srimadattatam bhuvigrinanti ye bhuridājana. My Lord, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those who are always aggrieved in this material world. So if you are aggrieved in this material world, are you aggrieved in this material world? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yes. Right?
Yes, Mother.
So then what will be the, right? What will save you? When for those who are aggrieved in this material world, what's going to save them? The nectar of Lord's words and the descriptions of his activities. That is going to give life to these people. That's going to save these people who are grieved. And so that's why if we give Krishna Katha to people, that is the sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. That is the best. And that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, and after reciting the whole Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna, in the end he says, who is the most dear to me? The one who spreads this knowledge, right? I have given it to you, but the one who spreads this knowledge to others. Okay? These narrations are transmitted by the exalted personalities and they eradicate all sinful reactions. Right? What was, we were talking, somebody who does not have sinful reactions. What was the word we were using today?
Annaga.
No, Anaga is from 15th chapter. Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ, right? Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ, right?
Okay, you are still here. I heard a lot of noise.
So we close this, we can close this.
And I thought you were outside. For a lot in the plane.
Okay.
We're still in late.
14, here.
We're
Okay.
back to
So Kṣīṇa-kalmaṣāḥ. Whoever hears these narrations attains all good fortune. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most beneficent welfare workers. And the interesting thing is that when we do Krishna Katha, right? Even demigods from above the heavenly planets could get interested if the Katha is really good. So it really gets transmitted throughout the 14 planetary system. Right? Those who have got the transmitters willing to catch it, we will catch it, right? Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most munificent welfare workers. So the munificent, the best benefit that you're giving to others is to spread the message of Godhead, right? And it is so difficult to do that, right? So this verse, Tava Kathamritam, is from 1031, verse number 9. Gopi Gita. Bhurida bhurida bale kare alingana, iho nahi jane iho haya kona jana. After reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately embraced the king and cried, you are the most munificent, you are the most munificent. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not know who the king was. Why? He did not know.
Because he had dressed as a Vaishnava and not as a king.
Vaishnava. Correct. Right? Purva seva dekhi tanre kripa upajila anusandhana vina kripa prasada karila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy was aroused because of the king's previous service. What was king's previous service? In the previous chapter, what was king doing? He had a
He
broom.
was taking the broom and sweeping the before the cart.
Before the carts, right? Therefore, without even asking who he was, the Lord immediately bestowed his mercy upon him. Right? So that is what happens. Ei dekha Chaitanya yera kripa mahabala tara anusandhan vinakara yasa phala. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Without even inquiring about the king, the Lord made everything successful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so powerful that it acts automatically. If a person renders loving service to Krishna, it never goes in vain. It is recorded in a spiritual account, and in due time, it will fructify. This is confirmed by the Bhagavad-gita 2.40. nehabhikrama nashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apya asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, endeavor of doing devotional service or loving service to others. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has particularly bestowed upon all fallen souls in this age the most potent method of devotional service, Sankirtan, the congregation chanting of the holy name, and whoever takes to it through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is immediately elevated to the transcendental position. As Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32 recommends, Yagna Sankirtana Prayar Jajanti hi sumedhasaha. A student of Krishna consciousness must receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, then his devotional service will quickly succeed. This was the cause with King Prataprudra. One has to be noticed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and a little service with sincere efforts will convince the Lord that one is a proper candidate for returning home back to Godhead. And this is where, sometimes people say that sometimes when they come to the temple, they're like, okay, I'm dressed in my best, I'm looking beautiful, I'm going to go and stand right in front of Krishna and stand there throughout the aarti so that Krishna notices me, right? But here what they're saying is that Krishna will notice you when you are doing your service. So even if you're in your worst of clothes, you're not wearing any silk, you're wearing plain cotton clothes because you're going to be in the kitchen, standing in front of the fire, cooking, bhoga for the Lord. That is service. And that will get noticed. The service always gets noticed by Krishna. Sometimes what happens is we are doing some service. We did a lot of service in the kitchen and, this and that, 4 hours we worked. And then there were other people also cooking and we were helping. Dasa Nudasa. We were helping them. They wanted vegetables. We chopped the vegetables for them. They said, where is the salt? Find it. Oh, found the salt for them. They go, okay, here are the dishes. I washed the dirty dishes for them. I did all of that. Right. And then in the evening, when, Avantika comes and she said, oh, the cooks for today were Mataji. Now my name is going to come. Oh, no, my name did not come. Right. But we should not be disheartened by that because Krishna observes everything. Krishna knows. So even if the rest of the world forgets to acknowledge your service, Krishna knows. And how does he know?
Because he is the supreme.
Yeah. What's the mechanism?
Mataji sitting in the heart as Paramatma.
Correct. 500 points. He's sitting there, right there. Bhavagrahi Janardana. And not only that, he also knows your bhava. Avantika might not know your bhava. She might just announce that you made the puris, but he knows that, what were we thinking when we are doing the puris, right? Like that. In fact, Ramananda Sakapapu told me a very interesting thing the other day. So he was like, if you have cooked, like, the Sunday feast was cooked by you or something in the Sunday feast was cooked by you, paneer. And after cooking the paneer and Preeti's there and she has the paneer. And then I asked Preeti, how was the paneer? Right? So if I had asked this question with the intention of being glorified, oh, this was the best paneer. I tell you, this is the best. I don't think I ever had that paneer, that kind of paneer. If we ask it with that intention, whatever good credits that you accumulated from cooking, they all get lost. Right? If on the other hand, you ask the question, how was the paneer today? Because of your inner concern, that was the chilies, correct, not too hot, was the salt sufficient, like that, because you don't want other Vaishnavas to suffer eating ill-cooked prasadam. Right? If that was your mood, that's okay, right? So service will get noticed. I mean, doing service also with that mood in my life, like Krishna's mood, noticing, no, don't even think that, Karmarnevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Don't focus on the result. Whether Krishna is going to notice or not, don't worry about it. Right? Just
Mataji,
do it.
Clearance, sorry, Mataji. So basically, our mood and our bhava is more important to Krishna. This is what you're trying to say,
Correct.
Mataji?
Bhavagrahi Janardana, yes.
So Mataji, for example, suppose let's say I'm doing devotional service so that my daughter also gets interested. Not that I'm not liking it, but maybe my interest is that my 8-year-old should also enjoy it and should also learn things. Is that a bad, bhava?
Bhava to have? Well, yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshaya. It is also there from our Shastras, right? See, you are doing sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. You're doing the best possible welfare activity that you could do to anybody, is to try to bring somebody else into Krishna consciousness, right? So right there, you have got points for doing it, right? Now, how that expands is that it starts with, I want my daughter to be a devotee, right? What if, I'm not going to give you an example because I know your daughter. Somebody is trying to bring up their child in Krishna consciousness. Child doesn't want to be in Krishna consciousness, right? Then is my heart big enough? Do I know that the best service to do is to distribute Krishna consciousness to other? Am I willing to let other people bring up other people's children into Krishna consciousness? Not mine, because they don't listen or they're not ready like that, right? So that will also expand as we go. So that's why the Shad Goswamis, we read that Shad Goswami has come, right? They will do for everybody. Ruffians, the villains, everybody, they will do it. So and that comes, how does it come? It comes with the purification of heart. And how will the purification of heart happen? Tav kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibiditam kalmashapaham. Kalmash will go away, and the advestas comes from that, right? So you will start with that. Charity begins at home. As a mother, it is your duty also, right? But sometimes it could also be that, I'm going to only teach this to my child. I'm not going to teach you any other child, but I don't want other people's children to become devotees. And hold on to that thought. We will continue. But I think I answered you sufficiently, Priti.
Yes, Mataji. The only example that you gave about the paneer, so that devotee, that example was not very clear. Although the devotee has definitely made prasad for Krishna, but she just wants a little bit of man from the material world also.
And that's the worst thing. Man is
Yeah.
the worst thing. Worst
Yes.
thing for devotional service. Yeah.
Yeah, or appreciation, whatever.
Right.
Not
The desire to
man,
be appreciated. Right. Atmendriya priti. Appreciation is which sense is pleased, right? The mind.
Yes.
By the appreciation, right? So it is Atmendriya Priti. Instead, we should be thinking about Krishna Indriya Priti. So when you want to satisfy Krishna, you also want to satisfy Krishna's parts and parcel. So which means that I have cooked the food and I want to make sure all the devotees are happy. Did they get the right amount of salt? Was it too much? Was it too tamarind? Like that. Was it too much chili? If you're looking at that, it's a totally different mood, right? Than to be acknowledged that I am the best. And my paneer tikkas are the best in the world. Like that.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Right? Yeah. So at first, Maharaj Prabhu did not have a chance to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but when the Lord saw that the king was serving Lord Jagannath as a menial sweeper, the Lord's mercy upon the king became a solid fact. When Maharaj Prabhu, in the dress of a Vaishnava, was serving the Lord, and the Lord did not even inquire who he was. Rather, he had compassion upon him and embraced him. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wants to point out that nothing could compare to the Lord's mercy towards Maharaj Pratap Rudra. Therefore, he uses the word dekha. Just see. And Chaitanya Kripa Mahabala. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is also confirmed by Prabhudananda Saraswati, Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhava Vatam in Chaitanya Chandramrita. Even a little of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy serves as a great asset for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement must be spread through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Rupa Goswami experienced the mercy and magnanimity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tushe Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is more magnanimous than any other avatar, even Krishna himself, because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given, pure love of Krishna. Srila Lochan Das Thakur has also sung, Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana, Nitaya Gaura Chandra. The two brothers, Nitaya and Gaura, are so kind. Guru Maharaj sings this song a lot, right? Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana, Nitaya Gaura Chandra. Two brothers, Nitaya and Gaura, are so kind that no one can compare to them. Similarly, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Vajendra Nandana Ye Sati Sutta Hoile Se Balrama Hoila Nitai Dina Hina Yata Chila Hari Name Udharila Tara Shakshi Jagai Madhai. Just to deliver all the sinful persons of this age by propagating the chanting of the holy name, Lord Krishna and Lord Balram have advented as Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand, which is good. Balram Jayanti is also coming next week. Jagai and Madhai are evidence of their success. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mission is the deliverance of all fallen souls in Kali Yuga. Devotees of Krishna must persistently seek the favor and mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to become fit to return home back to Godhead. So we have to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu bole ki tumi karila mora hita, achambhite ashe piyao Krishna lila mrita. So finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, who are you? You have done so much for me. All of a sudden you have come here and made me drink the nectar of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So that is what we should give them to drink, not ruhafsa. Raja kahe ami tumhara dasera anudas. This is very important. Raja kahe ami tumhara dasera anudas. Bhritya era bhritya kara ei mora ash. He's saying, the king replied, my lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants. Right? Dasanudasa. Important thing. The greatest achievement for a devotee is to become a servant of the servants of the Lord. Actually, no one should desire to become the direct servant of the Lord. That is not a very good idea. When Prahlad Maharaj was offered a benediction from Nrsimha-dev, Prahlad rejected all kinds of material benedictions, but he prayed to become the servant of the servants of the Lord. When Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigod, Dhruva could have asked for an unlimited material opulence, but he simply asked for the benediction of becoming the servant of the servants of the Lord. Kolavechar Sridhar was a very poor man, but when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give him a benediction, he also prayed to the Lord to be allowed to remain a servant of the servants of the Lord. The conclusion is that being the servant of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the highest benediction that one can desire. What is the highest benediction that one can desire?
Be a servant of the servant of the Lord.
There you go. Tabe Mahaprabhu tanre Aishwarya dekhaila kare hana kahibe e nisheda karile. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed some of his divine opulences to the king, and he forbade him to disclose this to anyone. So that's why he did not. Raja hena jnana kabhu na kela prakash, antare sa kela janena bahira udas. Although within his heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew everything that was happening, externally he did not disclose it. Nor did he disclose that he knew he was talking with King Pratap Rudra. Bhavgrahi Janardana. He knows what's going on. Pratap Rudra bhagya deki bhakta gane raja re prashamse sabe anandita mane. This is very, very important words for us. Seeing the Lord's special mercy upon King Pratap Rudra, the devotees praised the king's good fortune and their minds became open and blissful. This is a characteristic of a pure Vaishnava. He's never envious if another devotee receives the mercy and strength of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A pure Vaishnava is very happy to see a person elevated in devotional service. And this is what a verse that I was saying, Preeti Mataji, hold on to that thought, right? If I just do it for my daughter versus I do it for everybody else, right? Unfortunately, there are so many so-called Vaishnavas who become envious to see someone actually recognized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a fact that no one can preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message without receiving the special mercy of the Lord. This is known to every Vaishnava. Yet there are some envious people who cannot tolerate the expansion of this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. They find fault with the preacher who has spread this movement and do not praise him for the excellent service he has rendered in fulfilling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So I'll stop here and take any questions or comments or doubts or things of that nature. What did we hear today? Any word?
Getting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is the best
Is the
thing
best.
we can get.
Right. Yeah. And Pratap Rudra, servant of the servant of the
Thanks,
servant.
Lord.
Right? And Tava Kathamritam will get rid of our distresses and rise ourselves to Krishna consciousness. And then we can do sarva-bhūta-hite ratāḥ. Right? Today's verse, that is what today's verse is saying, right? So first we have to become kalmaṣāḥ. We have to become sinless. And then we will be able to do actual and real and effective welfare activities.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Meera Mataji. I saw you join. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I joined a lot later today.
No problem.
When I joined, I think I was just I just listened a little bit, but when you gave the example that when somebody cooks a food and then say, oh, did you like the food? I never thought of it in the form of glorification, because I always ask my daughter, oh, did you like that? Did you like that? Or if she doesn't say anything when she eats something that I especially make, and she doesn't say anything, I myself say, oh, did you like it? She goes, oh, yeah, it was so good. So when you said that we ask because we may be needing glorification with the intent of why we are asking, it's so subtle. Glorification is so subtle that I never thought of it as if I'm asking is because I want to glorify myself. It was just an eye-opener for me right now when you said that.
You have very rightly used the right word, subtle. This is how it comes. This is how man comes, very subtly, very, very subtly, right? Suppose you cooked something very nice. Your daughter eats it, doesn't say any word. Okay? Will we remain neutral? No. When you go to sleep, it will come. When you get up in the morning, first thing that will come to our mind is, well, she didn't say anything. Right? So it is subtle. It might be reflected as I'm trying to do it for my daughter. So if you wanted your daughter to eat something good, she ate it, right? Why did she have to come back and tell you it was good? No. Yes. Yes. Karmani-vadikaraste ma-phaleshu kadachana. That's why he's saying don't focus on
I really have to watch myself when asking questions like this.
Yeah, it's sadhana bhakti, it's practice.
Yeah.
But if you're asking your own family members, Shraddha Mataji, it's like just you want to know whether you need to make any change.
That's what I'm saying. Bhavagrahi Janardana. I might not know, they might not know, but Krishna knows. Why did you ask that question? We are thoroughly exposed. There is CCTV all the time in our lives. Right? Krishna is recording everything. He has got a Chitragupta to record. And he's watching. Right? That's why that two birds on a tree, one is watching. It's scary. It's scary also. Right? Although, the Brahma has designed this Srishti in such a nice manner that whatever I'm thinking, you cannot hear, right? But the scary part is Krishna knows what I'm thinking. Like that, yeah. But good to, good.
And Mataji, you also mentioned, sorry, Mataji. Mataji also mentioned that immediately the benefit that we are supposed to get, because our bhava is different, that benefit also stops. Like Krishna stops giving us that spiritual benefit.
That benefit, yeah, because now it got dirt in it, right? It got colored. It's no longer pure, right?
That's even more scary.
Yes, it became for us, yeah. It's not even that you got a 0, you were fined.
Yeah, it is like Sham Eva Kevalam, no? It has become material now.
Yes.
That's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many subtle things that happen in this material. We have to be really very, as we read and go deeper into Bhagavad-gita verses, we have to be really very careful of what we talk, what we think, what we do, what we don't do. There are consequences of all of them,
Yeah, Mataji, I don't mind sharing one little example. Just a few months ago, on Jagannathji's birthday, we were in the Gurukul in Bhakti Vedanta Gurukul in Vrindavan. And suddenly I was sitting and listening to the Kirtan, and one of my friend Mataji, she's doubly initiated. She quickly came and patted me and she said, would you like to do some seva in the temple? So would you like to do some chopping and all? So I quickly went, and as I mentioned, I always remember my daughter, so I said, you also come. And then she quickly peeled off some lychees, and she decorated the lychee plate with the cherries. And immediately one brahmachari, I think, or some panditji came and he said, oh, the children are not allowed, small children are not allowed. But at that moment, I thought, okay, she has done a little bit of a service to Jagannathji, and I'm quite satisfied that she could do that much. She could peel the lychees and she could decorate the plate and she could decorate with the cherries. So I was very happy that she's done some service to Jagannathji. Now, after your example of paneer, now I can relate that, yes, that was like a spiritual bhav that I had. I mean, obviously, I was not expecting that out of so many devotees, we'll be, our name will be called because we peeled lychees. We were not expecting that, but we were very happy that we were called, because we are not even initiated, but we were still called in the kitchen, and we were told to do some cleaning and some throwing of the garbage and all. So I was really happy about that, because I have not entered any DT kitchen yet. That was my first experience. So I was really happy about that. So I'm like feeling a little better today after listening to you.
Yeah, thank you. And then we read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita today, right, that people have to understand that nothing happens without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So when you go to, especially in these festive occasions, there's so many people over there, and then suddenly you get called. Why? Right? So this Krishna's hand is there, right? Krishna arranges that. And then he wanted to give a little seva to your daughter. He gave, and then he's also the one who sent the brahmachari, by the way. So that's when you start, and this is what is known as liberated in the Supreme, right? The term that was used today, that, you are in Krishna Rath, you're completely like, how a rasgulla, when you put it, gulab jamun, you put it in the syrup, it's all full of syrup, right? Similarly, you're full of Krishna consciousness. Everything that you do, you'll be reminded of Krishna, you'll think of Krishna. So you'll be like, okay, fine, I got called, Krishna did it. Oh, my daughter was called, Krishna did it. My daughter was asked to leave the kitchen, Krishna did it. So when you do like that, then your daughter being asked to leave the kitchen will not cause any heartache. Any heartache, because Krishna is doing it. Otherwise, that little thing could be there, like, how we don't even live in Vrindavan. We just come, we visit her. This is such a nice opportunity. I was there in the kitchen for 2 hours. She could have helped. I mean, after all, she's not such a small child that she puts her hands in dirty places. She can wash. She knows how to wash her hands. She could have helped there. And she took a shower in the morning. All that stuff, will go on in the head. But when we say it was Krishna, this is surrender. That, yeah. But nice. Nice. I'm so happy that you went there. I'm sorry. COVID.
Yeah. After effect.
Takes a long time, yeah. Because otherwise I'm the coughing variety.
Long COVID, it's called.
Yeah. So. All right. So then on that happy note of decorating with cherries, like a nuts plate, should I take your leave?
Wonderful class, Mataji. It was really an eye-opener today.
Krishna Katha. That's why you like it, and it comes from Krishna. I have nothing to do. I don't create any of it. I just read from Prabhupada's books. So all this is just the mercy of Prabhupada and our eternal gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and to the Guru Parampara, and to all the acharyas from whom we learn. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
namo namaha.
Gopirmanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you.
For joining.